If you're learning about systematic reviews right now, it probably feels like a more structured version of a literature review. Just more papers, more detail, more effort. But that framing is misleading, because a systematic review isn't about depth, it's about decision making. And if you miss that, your review might be thorough, but it won't be strong. Let's make this real. Imagine you're working in the Ministry of Health, or an NGO designing a program, and you ask a simple question: what actually works to reduce maternal deaths in rural areas? You search online, and suddenly you're staring at hundreds of studies, different conclusions, different methods, different contexts. So now the real question becomes, what do you trust, and what do you actually do? And if we haven't met before, I'm Dr. D, a public health practitioner and academic, and on this channel, I break down research concepts so you can clearly understand them and confidently apply them in your own work. This is where most people go wrong. They read a handful of papers, summarize them, and call it a literature review. But a systematic review is not about summarizing papers. It's about answering a question in a way that someone can trust. So let's simplify it. A systematic review is a structured way of answering a question using all relevant evidence while showing exactly how you made your decisions. Not some evidence, not convenient evidence, all relevant evidence. And just as important, you make your process visible. Think of it like this. A literature review is like picking fruit from the trees you can easily reach. A systematic review, it's mapping the entire forest. You decide where to look, you define what counts as a fruit, and you document exactly what you picked and why. Now let's anchor this properly. A systematic review has 3 core features. First, a systematic search. You actively try to find all relevant studies, not just the obvious ones. Second, explicit criteria. You decide in advance what you will include and exclude. Third, transparency. Someone else should be able to follow your process and arrive at the same set of studies. That's what makes it credible. That's what makes it useful. Let's go back to our example. Reducing maternal mortality in rural areas. A proper systematic review defines who you're studying, what intervention you're interested in, what outcomes matter. Then it searches widely, not just academic journals, but NGO reports, government data, and local evidence. Because in many real-world settings, the most important evidence isn't always published. Then comes the shift. You don't just collect studies, you make decisions. Which studies are relevant? Which are strong enough to trust? What patterns emerge across them? And in the end, you produce one clear, defensible answer, not 10 conflicting summaries. One answer that someone can actually use. Now here's the mistake I see all the time. People think systematic reviews are about being comprehensive. They're not. They're about being structured in how you decide what matters. You can read 100 papers and still produce something weak, or review 30 studies systematically and produce something powerful. So here's the shift I want you to make. Stop thinking like someone who reads research. Start thinking like someone who has to make a decision, with incomplete, messy, and sometimes conflicting evidence. That's what a systematic review really is. Now, if you're trying to do this yourself, this is usually where things start to feel unclear. What exactly do you define first? How do you avoid making arbitrary decisions? So to help with that, I've created a systematic review question and scope template. It walks you step by step through clarifying your question, defining your boundaries, and making your decisions explicit from the start. If you're a student, it will save you a huge amount of time. And if you're teaching, it's something you can give directly to your students. You'll find it linked below. And if you're working through a systematic review right now, make sure you subscribe, because in this series, I'm going to walk you through each step clearly, from question design all the way to synthesis. In the next episode, we're going to go deeper into one of the most important parts of the entire process, how to actually build a strong systematic review question using picots. Because if your question is weak, everything that follows will be too. So if you're ready, go straight to the next episode and let's build your question properly.